Welcome. Thank you for joining me. For these first few videos in this series, we're going to cover broad concepts when it comes to marketing. Later videos, it's really going to get dialed in on specific marketing channels like Facebook advertising, Google advertising, and get into the specifics. But for the first few videos in this, I really kind of wanted to get into ways of thinking when it comes to marketing and building your marketing campaigns. So the concept that we're going to cover today is called mental models, which is something that was created by Charles Munger, who is Warren Buffett's mentor and is worth about $2.5 billion right now. Really brilliant guy. And this concept, so an example of mental models would be the scientific method in science, right? Or supply and demand in business, or the compound effect in investing. These are core tools, concepts, ways of thinking that are some of the most essential to the field that you're in. Knowing them will give you a huge advantage in that field and in life in general, right? So very important stuff. And Charles Munger says that knowing these is probably the reason that he's so successful. So it's worth paying attention to. So what I want to cover today is some mental models for marketing and building your marketing campaigns. These are four concepts, four pillars that are really going to be the most important concepts for your marketing. So these four pillars. The first one is framing. Basically, this is when it comes to how you look at your products, how you look at your marketing. What I want you to do is try and remain completely objective when doing so, and seeing everything through the eyes of your customer. And this can take a little bit of work, but it's really a removal of your ego and now looking at things subjectively, right? So really the important part or a helpful part of this is understanding as much as you can about your customer base, their demographics, age, sex, location, what city are most of your customers from, what state are most of your customers from, political background if possible. Depending on the programs that you're using to get that sort of demographic information, you can learn a lot, from the type of cell phones that they use to children to if they own their homes. So the more you know about your customers, the more answers you're going to have to any sort of marketing questions that you have in the future, right? So when it comes to creating a Facebook ad, maybe, and you want to select an image for that campaign, and you know that the majority of your customer base is in Santa Monica, California, and they're female, late 20s, single, use iPhones, right? It's going to make it much easier to select images for that ad, right? So you probably would select beach images or images that that demographic could relate to. And so, yeah, the more you know about your customer base, the easier that is. So that's framing. Next one is advantages. So what advantages can you bring to this campaign? And that's not necessarily just monetary. A lot of people, they start marketing campaigns and they think just pouring a lot of money into it is going to make it successful. And that's actually rarely the case. So advantages, what customer information do you have already? If you're not a new business, do you already have a list of customers that you can kind of use to learn from for your campaigns? Again, you could use that data to figure out the demographics and all sorts of information. Do you have a supply of inventory? Do you have an oversupply of inventory right now? If that were the case, you could offer free samples to your customer base, running a marketing campaign, offering free samples. Life experiences. Like I had a client who was a CBD company, and the owner was going through cancer and was using CBD products to help her through that process. So she had a very unique viewpoint and a very unique story to tell to her customer base. And so her life experience was a huge advantage coming to her marketing campaign, right? Is your profit margin really high? Can you offer substantial discounts to your customers? Do you have a previous business that's related to your current efforts? If so, do you have a customer list for that business? Do you have any sort of demographics from that customer base? So just things to think about when building your campaign, or what sort of advantages you can have And really, you want to find as many as you can when building marketing campaigns, because it's just it's going to make your campaigns much more successful. So, and then we have ideas, FAI, right? So, ideas. Being a successful marketing person is not about coming up with good ideas. It's the ability to collect the best ideas and blend them in a way to create new and better ideas. And that is a way of thinking that can take a little bit of time to develop, but the idea of sitting around and coming up with a brilliant marketing campaign, maybe it's done, but the skill set with great marketing is collecting the best ideas, gathering all those ideas and blending them in a way that will create better and more successful campaigns. And we have an entire video on that, and that'll be kind of a underlying concept throughout this course. So FA, and then R is results. Marketing equals profits. Okay, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to marketing, and there's going to actually be an entire video. The next video is going to be on just that. But I want you to think about all your marketing efforts. It's an ROI. That's the return on investment is what you're going for, right? Not social media likes, not SEO, not building your list, not brand building, none of that. It's definitely those things can be important, but the target is always a return on investment. Building your social media following. I want you to ask yourself, what is the return on investment on this? It's not necessarily, 1 million Facebook followers is not necessarily going to equal much of any sales. It's not a guarantee, right? Traffic to your website. Again, million people visit your website. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're all going to buy from you. It could be junk traffic. It could be from another country. It could be non-targeted. You can get a ton of traffic. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to result in sales. So social media followers, that's a big one. Should I get on TikTok because that's the new marketing platform? Should I copy this other company, the way that they're doing their marketing? Not necessarily, because you always have to ask yourself, what is your return on investment, right? And that can be a little bit of a difficult concept to get around, because when you really look at your marketing, you'll see that there's a lot of fat that can be cut from your campaigns. Okay, so that's the acronym FAIR. Framing, advantages, ideas, results. Okay? I want you to think about those 4 pillars, mental models, if you will, whenever you're building any sort of marketing campaigns, and how you can apply them, right? So looking at a campaign, is it seen through the eyes of your customer? Does it relate directly to your customer? Is the framing around what your customer wants? What are their pain points? What is it that they, desire? What are their core desires? Are there any advantages that you can bring to that campaign? There's a million different types of advantages you could potentially have, right? Maybe a skill set would be another one that you could possibly consider. So off the top of my head, I had another client that was a doctor, another CBD company, and he wrote a ton of medical papers previously to starting a CBD company. So he had all this content that just wasn't being used, and he didn't know how to, run marketing campaigns. He was new to marketing, but he already had all this great content. So created, email campaigns and blog content off of those. So, there's a skill set, life experiences, budget, inventory, positioning. Maybe if you have a storefront, how you could use that storefront to help with your online sales. For example, collecting email addresses, which I always advise doing when you have a storefront, or creating a loyalty program within your store, where it's kind of like a Vons Club, but where they give you all their information, their name, physical address, email address, phone number, and then you can use that information for your campaign. So that would be a huge advantage, right? So just having a storefront would be another one. So really kind of dialing in and thinking of any sort of advantages that you can have. Ideas. How don't stress about coming up with great ideas when it comes to marketing campaigns. There's a skill set involved that you'll learn of collecting the best ideas and blending them in a way to create better ideas. So don't waste effort. Things that aren't going to get you the best results. Right? And then results. Is this going to be profitable for you? Is this campaign going to get you? I try and say, as a marketing agency, our goal is to duplicate money, right? That's how all marketing should be viewed as, profitability. Not saying all your campaigns are necessarily going to do that, but that is the goal. If your campaign fails, you just learn something, right? You're collecting data to get to that point of increasing your ROI. Okay, a lot of advertising is just for the sake of advertising rather than for the sake of profitability, right? So those are the mental models that I want you to really kind of keep in mind. Again, the acronym FAIR to help remember: framing, advantages, ideas, results. I have a few recommended books, optional reads, but definitely highly recommended. We have Poor Charlie's Almanac. This is the book written by Charles Munger. Again, Warren Buffett's mentor, currently worth about $2.5 billion. Excellent book, really recommended for anyone in business, but really anyone. It's an easy read, and the concepts in there will change your life. This is Super Thinking. This is a book kind of introducing you to the concept of mental models. A lot of good examples, very, very simplistic, easy read, but really, really good stuff in there if you're interested in that kind of way of thinking. Recommended. Now, if you want a little bit more advanced, there's a book series called The Great Mental Models. This is definitely preferred over the previous book, but it's a little bit more of a intense read. So it goes through all the great mental models of different fields. So we have systems and mathematics. We have physics, chemistry, and biology. And then we have general thinking concepts. So there's 3 books in this series, and I think they're going to come out with more. Very, very, very much recommended. But Poor Charlie's Almanac is definitely the most recommended out of the book. If you're going to get one book, that'd be the one to get. But yeah, if you give them a read, let me know what you think. Thanks so much. See you in the next one.